All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's bi-weekly update with Gentian Financial. I'm Ken Flannery. Chris Doty has a day off today. That kind of sounds like a newscast, doesn't it? But yeah, so we have a great team here. Zach, Mike, Ashley is going to do the Gentian happenings at the end of it, and we just want to welcome you all to today's broadcasting. Thank you very much for joining us. Always a pleasure to be on a Zoom with you all. We appreciate you guys all, and some of you have told us some great things that you're up to, and as you guys know, we like to start off by going big, beginning in gratitude. I'm going to talk about something today called EGBs. You might know that from a terminology from Marquette University. EGBs, it's a Shaka Smart thing. I'll talk about that a little later in the program, but my go big is being around some ex-Marquette alumni who played at a very high level, names you'd probably recognize, and just to be around their mentality, just to be around what it takes to get to that level and the level that they've gotten to and beyond college is quite amazing. And when you surround yourself with great people like that, it turns your mind a little bit too, to the right way to figure out what it takes to get to another level. It doesn't always have to be sports. It could be a relationship in your life. It could be anything like that. It could be financial planning related, right? So my go big is some ex-Marquette alumni that I get to hang around with a couple times a week. So pretty cool stuff there. With that being said, we're going to go big. We got all the team members on today, not all of them, but some of them. Let's start with Mike. Mike, what is your go big today?
Thanks, Ken. I guess my go big is the investment that we've kind of made in ourselves. This is a new office space downstairs in Gentian. As you can see, we still need to hang some stuff on the walls and get it ready. But just a new collaborative space for us to continue to work and continue to evolve and to be able to provide the best product that we possibly can. The whole idea between everything we've done here is to continue to inspire creativity, and that really gives us the best option to serve you the best way possible.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. Surely appreciate that. And yeah, the Gentian office is looking good. And when Chris built it, we built it for all of you that are watching right now. It's all about you. It's trying to have the best experience with you when we're with you, to give you the best experience that we possibly can. And we're always trying to get better at that. And so thank you, Mike. We appreciate it. We certainly appreciate that. Zach, how about you? How about your go big today?
Yeah, thank you, Ken. As always, a lot to be grateful for, but most recently this last weekend, I got to officiate the first wedding I've ever been a part of, and also was for one of my best friends. So I probably wouldn't do that normally, but for them, I had to say yes, and it went extremely well. I didn't throw the rings over my shoulder or anything or lose them. And I'm just extremely blessed and extremely grateful for always having amazing people in my life everywhere I've lived and everywhere I've gone. So very grateful for that experience. But the officiating jersey, if you will, is hung in the rafters, and I think that was one of one. I think that was my retirement of ordaining as well. But we'll see.
Fair enough, Zach. I heard you did a pretty good job, so maybe you have to bring that thing out of retirement, maybe sooner than later, right? So, no, it's what an honor to be in part of your friend's life like that. And I mean, that's probably one of the biggest moments of their lives, and that's huge. It's great to be part of that. So, peace be with you, Zach. Just kidding around, having a little fun this morning. So Ashley is also on the webinar today. She's going to do the happenings at the end here. But Ashley, what are you grateful for?
Well, thank you, Ken. Good morning to everyone. I am grateful for this team. To be honest, we've become friends. Our relationships have grown, and it really does truly feel like a family. I'm so comfortable when I come to work and so excited to come to work on the days that I'm here. So I'm just blessed for the environment that Chris and our team has created amongst each other so that we can always get better and improve upon each other. And today is my grandmother's birthday. So she's celebrating in heaven this year. And I just want to wish her a happy birthday in heaven. So thank you, Ken.
Oh, Ashley, that's very good. Yeah, great team, and you're very much part of that. Very much a leader on that part. So, and your grandmother. Wow, I mean, it doesn't get much bigger than that. So, thank you for sharing that piece with all of us and all of our clients that are listening as well. So we thank you for that. Lots going on. Volatile markets as usual. I think that's a pretty common theme right now with the uncertainty of what's going on geopolitically. Inflationary interest rates, corporate earnings are coming out. Some of the biggest companies in the world are reporting earnings right now, actually pretty decent from what I read. But there's also yes, we have some pretty decent earnings, but there's always that but that comes after that. It sounds like from the CEOs right now. And so we're hearing great corporate earnings, but we're also hearing, but we are seeing a shift in consumer spending right now. And so why is that? Probably inflation. That'd be one of my guesses, is that things are getting to be more expensive. All of us are starting to second guess some of the purchases we make. Do we really need something for $9 when we really don't need it in our life at all, that used to cost $4 or $5? All of us are second guessing things like that. And that's going to curb spending for a little while, but that also should keep inflation in check for the most part too. That should go hand in hand. Now, it's probably not going to happen overnight where all of a sudden we see people stop spending and all of a sudden we see inflationary pressures come down. But we certainly are going to see some sort of reactionary to that. Doesn't mean people are going to stop spending. People are always going to spend money. That's kind of the American dream, if you will. We need to have things. And as evidenced by all the storage units that we see around here, I mean, everywhere you drive, on every other corner, there's a storage unit of some sort. We have some great clients that started some storage units up here in southeastern Wisconsin, and they're doing well. They're full, like with RVs or stuff or people's things temporarily, but they're full, which is really interesting. So that's a whole nother concept to talk about here. So with that being said, let's pass it over to Zach for some Zach's facts. And he always has some good ones. So Zach, why don't you give us a little bit about what's going on and what you're tracking?
Yeah, thank you, Ken. Really appreciate it. We'll go through markets like normal, kind of where they're at on the year, kind of a few fixed income updates, what we're seeing for CD rates and even just money market, a little bit further in detail on kind of the earnings that Ken talked about. But before jumped into that, often and kind of lately, been hearing different questions of why does the news refer to the market as the Dow Jones? Why do we talk about it as the S&P 500? And really, what is the difference between the two? And I just want to share that with you real quick. This is a little bit into the weeds, but just want to kind of educate you guys on this to know what you're seeing when you're seeing on TV. Mike and Ken, can you see my screen, or is it still loading? Can see it? Excellent. So when we're looking at this is the Dow Jones, and this is the one that we hear on TV often when it's the market's up 600 points or it's down 300 points, right? But the Dow Jones is really only a collection of 30 companies, right, across the board. Used to be one of the only metrics to be able to track things 50, 60, 70 years ago. But now, when you take a look at this, the Dow Jones is price weighted. So even though United Health Group isn't the biggest company in the world, it's a 10% holding of the Dow Jones. Apple, which is the biggest company in the world, is the 16th biggest holding. So about 3 years ago, Apple was actually the number one, but its stock price split 4-to-1. It was over $400 a share, went to 100 and something, and dropped down to the 16th. So it's price weighted, not based off of the size of the company at all. And then also, if you look over here, what spikes the most fear? Would it spike more fear for you watching the news and the media and hearing that something's down 300 points or 30 or 40 points, right? A 1% movement in the Dow Jones is 300 points, right? 50, 60 years ago, that was a major deal. That would be a 10, 15, 20% correction. Now that's a normal daily market movement one way or the other. The S&P 500, much smaller number, 40 points, that doesn't really register on kind of our mindset. If we're looking at the S&P 500 real quickly, you can see that it's based off of the size of the company. So Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Nvidia, Tesla, and others. United Health Group, which is the number one in the Dow Jones, it's actually 10th when it comes to the size. So the S&P 500 is based off of the size of the company, its market capitalization, if you will, and the Dow Jones is price weighted. So just wanted to share that with you, just as far as a little bit of education of what you're seeing when you see certain things on the news. If we're talking just returns for the year, the S&P 500 still up over 3% on the year. It was almost 6 at the end of January. If you remember from our January or February 1st webinar, January is actually one of the best Januaries ever, and especially since 2019. The NASDAQ still up about 9.5% on the year. That's weighted 50% towards technology, and that one was actually down the most last year. So when we talk about rebalancing and others, we rebalanced really any time during last year. We'd bought more of those technology type companies that were temporarily down. The Russell 2000 up over 7.5% on the year. That's the smaller size companies, and that's still continuing to lead the way, which is great as well. And if we rebalanced any time last year in your scenario, probably would have bought more small sized companies as well. International up around 5%, and emerging markets up around 3% on the year. As Ken mentioned in the beginning, volatility. Most of the time when we think volatility, we think downward. That's just automatic. We think volatility, we think it's the downward movement. Volatility is up or down. And it's actually, as Ken said, it's been one of the most volatile starts to the year that we've had in a long time. 17 of the 35 trading days this year have been up or down more than 1%. So if you felt that volatility, if you felt that, it's very warranted. One thing on the fixed income side of things, we get questions often of just what should I do with my outside cash? I don't want to invest it. This is for something earmarked in the future. This is emergency funds, you know, some of those different things. CD rates now, Ken and I looked at a few others. There's a few local banks, even at 4.5%, 5% for a 1-year CD. If you look online, there's some other online ones as well. If we didn't want to lock money in for a year time frame at that 5%, a lot of money markets are starting to get up to that as well. We have some short-term money markets that we've looked at and work with that are around 4.4, 4.5%. But the key with that one is it's 1-day liquid. So you called it on Monday, you can get it on Wednesday. And then kind of touching, like Ken mentioned, just the earnings season. If you look at it, there's a 7-week stretch of earnings, and over 1,200 companies report what they did for the quarter. And over 65% of them actually exceeded their earnings. The 20-year historical average is 60%. So for them to get 65% amidst the runaway inflation, the supply chain, the uncertainty with war and others, and you know, COVID was the start of last year that a lot of companies had trouble with as well. It's really amazing that companies are still that resilient. With that, I'll hand it back to you, Ken.
Thank you, Zach. Appreciate the insight there. Yeah, you made some good points about the Dow Jones and the S&P 500. A lot of our clients that are on the call right now and who will watch this later probably can remember the Dow Jones or the S&P 500 being different companies, big time different companies when they were growing up and they were in their accumulation phase. Now they're in the distribution phase of spending their hard-earned money, the fun part of it all, rather than saving it all right now. But you know, you look at companies like GE, ExxonMobil. Those were the companies that kind of topped the list at that point in time. Now they're somewhat tech-based and health insurance-based and bank-based, as you can see there by that list. So things change, things evolve, and so do the markets, and so does planning, and so does everything like that goes into that. So I want to bring up a point here that I think is really important. The stock market is not the economy. And so a lot of times those get lumped into the same conversation about, oh, if the economy is not doing well, the market's not doing well. If the market's not doing well, the economy is not doing well. That's not the case. So Zach just kind of mentioned 65% of the companies are coming out with very, very profitable numbers right now. So that should mean that the market should be up right now, right? Because markets fundamentally are driven by corporate earnings. At the end of it all, through all the noise that's out there, it comes down to prices that go up in companies that have a direct correlation to earnings, their earnings. And so that should be the case right now. Yet we're seeing a market that's down, 15 to 20%, depends on which ones we look at right now. Well, for last year going into this. So just remember, like, the markets are anticipatory. They want to, they're trying to think about things before and try to incorporate things that are into the future into now. That's a very difficult thing to do, but that's what the markets do for us. So we just have to be aware of that. A couple of things we've heard is, the idea of getting in and out. We don't hear it a lot. I want to congratulate all of our clients. You guys are wonderful. But when I'm at hockey games and basketball games, I hear people talking to me because I'm the financial guy. So everyone brings stuff up to me about, hey, we should just probably get out and then get back in. Well, that sounds very easy to say in a quick sentence like that. But in order to get back in, the world is going to be feeling like it's falling apart when you need to get back into the markets. That's a very difficult, you have to have a lot of gumption and a lot of gall to put everything on the line when it feels the worst. And that's a very difficult thing to do. So that theory is kind of flawed, just in the sense of as being a human being. That's a very flawed thought there, if you will. It's a very difficult thing to do. But that's not been you guys. You guys been great. You're sticking to your financial plan that we've created together. You've been very disciplined. We've been very disciplined. Together, it's a great partnership. And that's why a lot of you are so successful in retirement as you are financially, is because of that discipline that you guys have. So before I hand it over to Mike, I want to talk about EGBs. They're called energy generating / giving behaviors. And I thought this kind of jives well with the Gentian message that you hear on the Live It side that Chris likes to talk a lot about, and he's very good at it. I've been hanging around some Marquette guys for a little while now through basketball season, and Shaka Smart, if you pay attention to Marquette basketball at all and you enjoy the game of basketball, you know Shaka Smart, you know the Marquette Marquette is like number 6 in the nation right now. It might have changed last night. I don't know. I think they played. But they're number 6 in the nation. So they're doing something well. They're playing good basketball, but they also have something that's the underlying fundamentals to it all. It's called EGBs, energy generating behavior. And what that is from a basketball standpoint is, and we can equate this to life too, it's giving each other a high five on the court. It's slapping each other's back when he did a good play. It's you'll see Marquette fly to a player who's down on the floor and help him out. What is that? Those are all energy giving behaviors that boost people up to be better than what they can be by themselves. And when you look at this is actually something that's tracked, to my knowledge. There's one coach on the bench who is making tick marks for every player on energy giving behaviors, and they're tracking this. Early on in the season against Seton Hall, I think it was, there was about 3,000 tracked EGBs during one basketball game. 3,000. That's an amazing number for an hour and a half of basketball, right? Think about that. Recently, I've heard that some of the most recent games, it's up to 15 to 20,000. It's become contagious. It's become something that they fundamentally do that changes the dynamic of their team, that changes the dynamic of the outcome. And so when we talk about the Live It side, the planet side of retirement, that's something we can help you out with. The Live It side is even more difficult, actually. And this is part of that. This is, are we seeking people in our lives that give us the energy, that give us the positivity to get us to a better spot than we could by ourselves? Or can we give it? Not only just seek it, but can we give it? So I don't think it's a fluke, actually, that they're ranked 6th in the nation. Now, are they a very talented basketball team? Absolutely. Their skills are out of this world. But I also think it's because of the positivity that they bring each and every day, knowing that they need to raise their game for others and for themselves. I think that's why they might be in the position that they're in. Now, time will tell. We'll see what that looks like, but that really equates to Live It, the side of the equation for retirement, is just making sure that we are lifting each other up as much as we're seeking out positive things in our lives. It's so easy to get caught up in the negatives, as you guys know, but if we follow EGBs in our own life, how many tick marks will we have each day? How many tick marks will we give out each day? How many tick marks will we receive every day? And maybe that's something that we can just kind of keep in the back of our mind and see what that may look like. Maybe keep track of it. Be like, wow, today I was kind of negative. I don't have any tick marks. Or maybe just one, but maybe the next day you have 3. Maybe the next day you have 5. Maybe the next day you have 15. And all of a sudden it becomes a totally different environment. So I thought that was something you kind of unique, I heard, in the basketball world. And I really wanted to bring it to you guys as part of our lives as well together for retirement planning as well. So with that being said, I'd like to hand it over to Mike. And I'd like to hear what Mike has for the minute.
Thanks, Ken. Sounds like you just gave me a leading indicator of what you're going to pick to win March Madness this year. But yeah, so I want to piggyback off a couple things that Zach and Ken said, specifically to indexes and the markets in general, specifically with the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones. So the way that Zach spoke about how the Dow is favored by the media because it's more dramatic, to use a bigger point drop. It's not as dramatic at all to talk about, fractions of a point or anything like that in that regard. So who do regulators look at? Who do they care about? And that's who we're going to kind of care about at the end of the day. So a really great example of this is that there's something called a circuit breaker in the stock market. If there's a very, very volatile day, this happened a whole bunch in 2020, where the market goes down 7% and then 13%, there's actually a circuit breaker that stops trading for a period of time. Now, which index do they track for that? The S&P 500. So in a lot of different ways, it shows the importance of that index. And then to Ken's point, talking about how indexes change over years, we're coming out of a time period where indexes really outperformed. It was hard to get outperformance in comparison to an individual index because those really big, large, great companies continue to innovate and do so well over a period of time and collect a large portion of the market share. Now, though, historically, asset allocation has outperformed a specific index because of the fact that, think about how much the index has changed. We're talking in the 70s and 80s. S&P 500 is mainly industrials. Now it's tech companies. Now it's those things that aren't even really tangible items. When you go to Google or something like that, is that tangible? Not really, but back in the day, oil companies, things like that, industrials, as stated earlier. So where is that going to come from? We're talking about an ever-changing environment, and things are going to continue to do that. Do we believe that technology is going to continue to push the way and innovate? Yes. Do we believe that there's a place for industrials and those materials and different companies that need to be there to be able to help technology along the way? Absolutely. So where does that come from? Where does that go? It'll be very interesting to see going forward. Some of the things we've been hearing from our partners, switching gears a little bit here, is that the stock market in general, a little bit more heightened volatility now that we've heard a little bit more from the Fed, and also, a little bit more uncertainty with where they're going to go. Could they raise rates more than twice more this year, like was predicted previously? It seems like that could be more plausible. Time will tell. We'll see what the future inflation prints are. But for the most part, we're hearing that markets are going to try to figure themselves out this year. It could be a flat year, could be. And at the end of the year, we'll see where things are going up and down, but we want to stay participating, because for you to be up on the year, you would have had to have been invested throughout January. February was a down month. So that's comes back in that idea of timing. You can't just pick and choose, because those who got a little euphoric at the end of January, they're like, oh, this is the time to get my money back to work. Yes, it is the time to get your money back to work long term. But some of the uneducated investors might have felt that, they might be feeling a little bit of that pullback that happened in February. So we never time the markets. The best time to invest is when you have money, and the best time to get out of the markets is when you need money. So that's kind of speaking the words of Nick Murray a little bit there, not saying it quite as well, but they resonate with me. So I hope they do with you. Thanks, Ken.
Thank you, Mike. Really appreciate that.
Real quick, Ken, when I'm sitting in the big guy's office here, I feel like a dad joke is needed to represent Chris. So Ken, I'll ask you, what do you call an alligator on Wall Street?
I don't know.
An investigator.
Oh, good one. Good one. Yeah.
Had to. Yeah, I know that's cringeworthy, but sitting in this office, I felt like it was a dad joke was coming to me.
Oh, I like that one. Yeah, that's a good one, Zach. I appreciate that, and within the spirit of Chris, that's a good one right there too. So certainly do appreciate that. A couple of things when Mike was talking about the markets, again, we always bring it back to planning. We always bring it back to your plan. That's why we spend so much time on planning, because that truly is the difference maker. If we're acting upon our plan and not the markets, we believe good things are going to happen long term, and you guys are all evidenced by that right now. So I want to bring up a couple of things for those who are in the accumulation phase of their lives. That means we're saving money to get ready for retirement, rather than the distribution phase where we're actually spending our money in retirement on things that we love and enjoy. For those who are there, I heard some Warren Buffett quotes recently, and I want to bring one to your attention here. So one is for those who are saving, do not save what is left after spending, but spend rather what is left after saving. Now that sounds very fundamental. It's a very thought-provoking message right there, because I think a lot of us get caught into we spend and then we save. So it's almost backwards. But those who can save first, then spend, tend to put themselves in a really good position. So we just want to bring that. That's a Warren Buffett quote. Warren Buffett might be recognized as one of the most legendary investors of all time. He also has one when it comes to just things in general. Risk comes from not knowing what you are doing. And that's a really key one too. It's a very simple but stated quote there. So just remember that. We spend all of our time doing this for you and with you. And so sometimes we see like others trying to do something that they're not familiar with. That's where the risk comes in. That's where the mistakes come in. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention as well there. So With that being said, I don't know if Ashley's going to mention it or not. Maybe I'm stealing some thunder from her, but I'm going to mention it just to make sure we get it in here. Tax forms. It's a big one. Right now, we're in tax season. As you know, you might be waiting on a tax form from us, Raymond James, right, to complete your taxes. Raymond James likes to take their time, make sure the reconciliation process is correct. So when you do your taxes, hopefully it reduces the amount of amendments that we have there for you. So the tax documents you're looking for is most likely the 1099 tax form. It comes generally from a personal investment account or a trust account you may have. And those dates, when they come available, they come out in waves, basically. February 15th. So if you're waiting for one, check your online or let us know, or check your mail, because you probably already got one if you were the first wave of February 15th. The other wave was basically yesterday, February 28th. That was another wave of when these tax documents are available to you. If you log online and you see, your 1099 being delayed yet, that means it's probably for the last date that comes out, which is March 15th, which is the last date. So usually this is the last tax document that you're waiting for. We wish we could expedite the process for you, but we certainly want to make sure Raymond James does it correctly for you. And sometimes we have to just be patient and wait for this last one to come out. So I want to mention that before I hand it over to Ashley for the Gentian happenings.
Thank you. Yes, I just wanted to bring a few things to your attention that you may have already seen in your bulletin that was sent out on Monday, but to highlight, the Winter Forum has been released, so anyone that was unable to join us live on February 8th, there is a recording available for you to check out on our YouTube page. Our team will have limited office availability next week, Wednesday, from 9:30 until 11:30 a.m. while we work on some professional development items amongst our team. And believe it or not, in a week and a half is daylight savings time already. So just a reminder to adjust those clocks on Sunday, March the 12th. Birthday club for March is coming up and it's just right around the corner. Wednesday, March the 15th, we will be hosting all of those celebrating a birthday in the month of March at 12 p.m. So don't forget to register. You can either call our office, you can go to your bulletin and register through Calendly online, or if you want to send us an email to the Gentian email, please do so. And again, we invite you to bring a guest to celebrate with you. So we look forward to celebrating those in March. Also, Ladies and Gentian sign up is available at the moment. Wednesday, March the 22nd, we will be hosting live from England. Well, Lisa will be, not all of our team. Her and her mom will join us again from England on March the 22nd. So please register for that. That will begin at 10 a.m. Central Time. And we look forward to learning some English trivia and seeing Lisa and her mom live in England. Don't forget to check out everything that Michelle Norris is sharing. She has some great Q&A questions out there regarding all things nutrition and wellness. So again, just scroll to the bottom of that bulletin that you receive weekly to check out some great recipes and some great health and wellness tips from Michelle. Thank you, Ken.
Ashley, thank you very much for all the happenings here at Gentian. The birthday club is becoming something really special. It's grown nicely over the months and the years we've been doing it. We highly encourage you to just to come out, spend a half hour, 45 minutes to an hour with us, have lunch. We love to see what's going on, get some updates from you, see what you've been up to, celebrate you for your birthday. We love those moments because it's in the office, but it's not necessarily a business related thing that we typically talk about in the meetings or going through your personal finances, which we love doing. But we also love the other side of it too, where we get to talk to you, find out what's going on in a non-financial planning talk, if you will. So we highly encourage you to come out. We want to see some EGBs. We want to give you some EGBs when we see you for sure. So with that being said, we are Gentian Financial, Plan It, Live It, Give It. And if you have any questions, big or small, our team here stands ready to serve you on anything that you need that we can help you out with. So thank you for tuning in. We certainly do appreciate it. We appreciate you. Thanks for spending the time with us today. Have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful week. Have a wonderful month. And we'll see you very soon. Thank you very much.